The day has arrived. We have gotten the 48GB 4090 Generation 3 PCB water blocks. This is what I'm going to be selling ultimately in my shop. There's 50 units here. These were made by a professional shop in France by Hybrid Liquid Cooling. Shout out to Killian. The French are way better than the German. Back plates. Okay, great. These are the back plates. Got chamfered edges, chamfered holes, very clean anodized finish. Oh, here they are. Awesome. Wow, look at those. Awesome. Very slim, very to the size that it needs. It feels like it needs to be. Beautiful looking. I can't believe how slim they are. I went with this design where I have like the stainless steel brushed stainless steel top plate, and the back plate is gonna go like this. Yeah, right onto that. So the back plate adds the rigidity for the PCB not to bend or warp. Here's the water block. It's very slim in hand. I love it. I can't wait to see what it's gonna look like guess performance wise with the air cooler. The big bonus is that you're no longer going to have loud whooshing fan 4090s. You could have this in an office. You could deal with the liquid water however you want with a large AIO, a chiller, a pool, whatever. So this is going to be great. Okay, so now we got to test out the water blocks, and to do that I'm going to assemble a custom loop real quick. So I have a bunch of coolants parts, D5 pump, T30 fans, and then some quick disconnect fittings. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, so here's basically what you're gonna have when you want to install a water block. I guess this is gonna be like kind of the unofficial installation guide. Well, official. Okay, so you're gonna have your RTX 4090 if you already have it with the air cooler. So basically there's 8 screws here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you just want to unscrew them. Okay, and the back plate should just peel off. Sometimes it's a little bit stuck on there because the thermal pads are pretty aggressively sticky when they're fresh. And then when they adhere and go through a bunch of thermal cycles, they really kind of dig into the pores of the stuff that they're stuck to. There's also 1, 2 screws over here. Sometimes if you have an older version, we recently, probably beginning of June, just got different back plates. But if you have an older back plate that's more square rather than with the moon cutout over here, then it's just going to be 6 screws. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 4 screws on the PCB. Then you want to do the IO plate, just 2 screws. So basically now all you have holding the PCB to the cooler is these 4 screws around the heatsink. So my tool, my screwdriver tool, spins the stuff really fast, and when it does that, it can kick up some of the solder bumps on the PCB and kind of potentially push them under the BGA, which can cause problems. So I'm going to keep them still. Just if you're doing it with a regular screwdriver, just do it slowly and make sure the spring part is not spinning and scraping on the PCB, just kicking up metal. Just something to be aware of. But this is pretty straightforward. Just unscrewing screws. Okay, so this part's a little bit tricky sometimes because, like I said, the thermal pads can stick onto the PCB some. What I like to do is I start kind of pulling it apart like this, and you get it going, and the PCB will flex a little bit. That's fine, just don't like flex it too much. You just need to basically create pulling pressure in order to start kind of separating out the PCB from the cooler, the thermal pads that are sticking to the cooler. Okay, this can be a little bit nerve-wracking sometimes. As you saw, the PCB did flex there a little bit. You don't want to flex too much under this specific area. What I was doing kind of like a torquing motion, like that, like this way a little bit, kind of like pulling it down. And so you just have to go really slow with it. Make sure you don't, make sure you have all the screws removed. If you start pulling on it, then things release and then you just like snap something, that'd be bad. But I guess I want to kill the core. It might just break something over here and we need to replace the PCB, which is a little bit expensive. So now I have a bare 48 gigabyte 4090 PCB. And I'm just using some lint-free cloth and I'm scraping the die. Well, not scraping the die, just rubbing the die with IPA just to get the thermal paste off of it. Depending on how long you've had your 48 gigabyte 4090, the thermal paste could be a little bit hardened, and this would be a good time to replace it too. On the website has been recently updated. About a few weeks ago, I completed the new website overhaul, and so that has the shop on it to buy these water blocks as well as more info about them. And so that more info is where you can see basically like pad placement, pad thickness, all that other stuff that you might want. And if it's not there, then feel free to email or post on the forums. I check the forums often, but I don't want to like promote it because I don't want to. It's not something I have time to like moderate. So it's just on there for like customers that might want to post and be like, hey, I have a question about how to do this, or hey, I'm having an issue, and then basically get help from the community or me. Okay, so it's really straightforward. You use any kind of thermal paste that you want. I use Shin Itsu, or if you do buy these water blocks, I'm going to include these little tubes of the gelid hybrid liquid cooling compound. It's very viscous, it's very nice to spread. But basically you want to spread it on the core as evenly as possible. Don't do like the little pea-sized dot thing. Just kind of make sure you like have it spread all over with like a little spudger. And usually these spudgers you can get them on Amazon, or you get them usually when you buy thermal paste from other companies. So anyways, the water blocks will come with pads already, and then you just put the paste on the core and you go like this and you align it, and then you want to, these little 1U brackets will be included, and all these screw accessories as well. So these screws with the washers, well, with the nuts, will be for the IO bracket, and it looks like the screw heads are T1.5. And typically you don't want to yank on one of them at once, so I just do like all of them lightly and then kind of go in a pattern just to apply the even pressure on the thermal pads. These will, you typically want to do like finger tight. You don't want to like go over too much on them. Okay, great. So now we have the water block installed on the 48 gigabyte 4090 Gen 3 PCB. And these are these are general G1/4 G-quarter fittings on the water block, so you could use any kind of fittings. I'm using Killian's quick disconnect fittings because this is kind of going to be like a test water block for me to just like quickly test cards on. You will need caps as well, G-quarter caps, because these are like through connections, so you could put like the cards side by side stacked, and it can go like all the way down for a set of cards. So this is the card. This is how it's when it's done. Now we're going to install it. I just have a customer card here that they sent in, so those are usually tested beforehand. And now, wow, this is really slim. Sweet. Okay, so I got my no leak fittings, no leak quick disconnect fittings. Great. Okay, there we go. We've got the card booting up. It's showing an image. We have water flowing, and so now I'm going to put some loads on it. I'm going to put FirmArc, and we're going to run it till it kind of thermally saturates. I'm going to measure how hot the backplate gets, and we're going to see in GPU-Z how hot the core is and how hot the memory gets. I've let it sit and saturate to its thermal equilibrium. The backplate, while running FirmArc, is only hitting about 40 degrees Celsius. It's considerably cooler than running the air cooler. What I have a Supermicro motherboard here. You cannot change the fan settings in BIOS. You have to do it through IPMI, and the only IPMI settings I see are standard, full, and heavy IO, which I don't even like. I don't know what heavy IO is, but all the fan headers I just set to full speed, and I have two T30 fans with a 240mm Hardware Labs radiator that's about 1 inch thick, and I'm seeing the GPU temperature under full load. The workshop right now is 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Sorry for the dual units. 77 degrees Fahrenheit, 44% humidity, and the loop, it's just two T30 fans cooling the radiator going at full speed. I don't know the RPM on this, and basically just one GPU running FirmArc, just over 10 minutes. And so we're seeing about 60 degrees on the core with a delta temperature of about 12 degrees to the hot spot. So yeah, it's going to change depending on your environment, where the GPUs are, and what kind of radiators you're running, if you're running chillers and stuff. But basically, here's the GPU itself, or GPU cooler itself. There's a guide. I think I have a manual that I'll be sending with each of the GPUs that shows you what kind of thermal pad thickness and where they go. But basically, we even have thermal pads that go all the way to the back, 12-volt inductors. So we do still like actively cool the rear area here where the connector is, so it keeps kind of heat from passively building up on that 12-volt high power connector. So yeah, that's basically the whole water block. These are ready for sale right now. They come with, so here's what you'll get. So you'll get the water block, the screw sets, and I'll take time to cut down the thermal pads to fit them on everything before they send out. But basically, you get a screw set, IO bracket, screws for the IO bracket, back plate, and the water block. Yeah, so these are ready to be purchased on the GPULAB.net web store or on eBay. You can purchase them with cards, and those of you that have been holding out to wait for them, so you get a less noisy RTX 48GB 4090, because the air coolers are pretty loud, and you kind of have to keep them in a separate room just because of the amount of white noise they generate. But basically, like I said, everything's for sale. Go get yours right now while supplies last, I guess. I didn't get too many to start with, but basically I've done more cards than I have gotten water blocks. If you have any questions, feel free to email in or post on the web forms on the website. Any issues you have, post them there too, and I'll be sure to keep up to date on that. So with that, reach out if you're interested.